let's go ahead and be honest. Paperwork sucks. And of course, while it may be one of the last things you think about when you're actually planning for a through hike or a destination hike or just planning on spending some time in the backcountry, it could also come back and be one of the first things that bites you in the butt if you don't have everything that you need. And I really wasn't planning on making this video, but I just got one of my forms notarized that I'm going to need in order to hike through the Seminole Reservation. So I figured I'd take this opportunity to talk with you, get the basics of the kind of permits and things that you should look for if you're planning on hiking a part or the entirety of the Florida Trail. So, let's go ahead and start from the top. Okay, first off, sorry about the camera angle. Like I said, I wasn't planning on filming this video. You're sitting on my dashboard because this is just stuff that's going to be flying off the top of my head based on the research that I've done and, of course, what I've had to go through so far. So, all the information I actually am going to be mentioning today, I got directly from the Florida Trail Association's own website, floridatrail.org, and I'm actually going to have the exact page linked down in the description below that gives you a breakdown of the permits that you need. And of course, the way they have their information listed, it goes from south to north. They're assuming that you're going to be doing a northbound through hike of the Florida Trail. So, let's just break it down the way they have it in order. So, of course, starting with that in mind, the first one you're going to be needing is actually going to be for the Big Cypress National Preserve, which is essentially the start of the Florida Trail through hike in southern Florida. So, there is actually a link on the page directly to the permit that you're going to need. And what you're going to need to do is actually, fill out a copy of that and also have a copy with you. I believe you're going to be dropping one part of that in a box at the trailhead. Very similar to those who've actually had the opportunity to go through the Smokies. You're going to drop a copy, carry one with you. Of course, at the Smokies, you could drop your second copy off at the other box, but you didn't have to. So you're going to need to drop a copy of that permit. I'm going to link an image to it right here. A copy of that permit in the first box and carry the second part with you. And the next one, of course, there's a little bit of planning involved because this is the permit to actually grant you permission to walk through the Seminole Reservation, the Seminole Indian Reservation. And that's a permit that you have to mail into the reservation office at least 2 weeks ahead of time to when you're planning on hiking through. And again, that's what I have right here. This is the copy I'm actually going to be carrying, hence the Ziploc. But I just got those notarized. I'm going to be mailing out one copy of that to the reservation today, and the other one I'm going to be carrying with me because you need to have a copy of that on hand when you're on the property of the reservation itself, in case somebody asks for it. It's a CYA. It's essentially the basic, I will not sue if, I get bit by a snake or an alligator bites my toe off, some joke like that, but release of liability. That's really all it is. So it's something you have to keep on hand when you're on the reservation. Okay, the third one that's on the list on their website is kind of vague. I don't think there's an actual permit. I'm going to have to do a little bit more digging on that, but as of right now, the only information that's on the Florida Trail Association's website regarding camp landing is that there's an information kiosk on the eastern and western entrance to the park. And in these entrances, they actually will tell you if there's any areas of that, installation that are closed to through hikers due to military exercises being performed that day. So, something to keep an eye out for. They say there's a white blaze to actually get around that section. I'm okay with white blazes. I like the AT. So, if it's an alternate to go around the area if there happens to be any exercises that particular day when you get to camp landing. So the next up on the list is actually St. Mark's National Wildlife Refuge. Now, this is kind of special because, as a rule, you're not allowed to camp on a national wildlife preserve. And the fact that they let you do that here is kind of cool. So there's probably a lot of cool pictures and critters I might be able to see when I'm there. But you do actually need to have a written permission from the National Wildlife Preserve in order to hike, to camp, to do what you want to do there on that property. So you have the option to go to their website. What I actually did was call. I spoke with a nice lady who actually gave me a couple extra hints, tips and tricks. They don't necessarily apply to me because I'm walking through, I'm not driving there, but they've actually changed their rules slightly for the last couple months now. They used to actually require anybody who was camping there to keep a copy of their permit or their filled out form on their dashboard of the car if you're going to be staying there with your car. But the problem with that is it's got your address, it's got a lot of your personal information, things like that are actually on that form, so anybody who walks by could get all your personal deets, and that's not cool. So they don't actually require that anymore. And basically, once you fill out the form, all you really need to do is carry a copy with your stuff with your signature. They don't actually require their signature on the paperwork, because if it's something that's emailed to you and you're doing it ahead of time, it's kind of hard to get somebody, for me, 6 states away to actually take care of that for you. So just something to keep in mind. Okay, so of course one of the last places you're going to be passing through that requires a valid permit is going to be, of course, Eglin Air Force Base. What I'm going to put up here for Eglin is actually going to be the phone number to call that gives you details on daily section closures for exercises, things like that. And I'm assuming that's going to be very similar to camp landing, or in my personal experience, what I've actually dealt with here in Virginia on Marine Corps Base Quantico, that depending on a given day, they're doing exercises and you can't go there through there, so they give you directions on how to get around, or possibly closures. Hopefully there won't be any closures, because that's just annoying, but you got to do what you got to do when it comes to the Marine Corps or the Air Force Base there. Okay, so that's it for the big ones. At the bottom of the page for the permits for through hikers, there's also 4 separate sections that they list for areas where you're going to need to call ahead, get reservations to camp, and they have it broken down by region: the southern, central, the northern, and the panhandle regions of the Florida Trail. A lot of these just flat out mention that there's going to be an entrance fee in addition to actually calling ahead and getting the reservation. So it probably couldn't hurt to have a couple extra bucks on hand just to take care of that when you actually get there. So some have entrance fees to like the parks, and there's others that actually have fees to stay at a given campsite. Some of those you can actually get reservations ahead of time on the websites. There's a couple websites. And what I'm actually going to do, like I said, I'm going to break down all the links to these, and they're going to be down in the description down below, just to help make things easier, because you got to have your paperwork squared away. If the Florida Trail is something that you're actually thinking about hiking, make sure you do this the right way, because when people start ignoring that, you're going to get in trouble, and you're going to make it harder for everybody else who wants to hike this stuff in the future. So just bear that in mind. So yeah, off the cuff, totally random. Sorry about the camera angle and the lighting's terrible. It's just not ideal filming situations. But like I said, it popped into mind, and I wanted to get this down for you to help you out a little bit. Once I get things squared away and know a little bit more, I'm probably going to put a couple extra comments down below the video. If you've got any questions, feel free to leave those down below as well. I'd be happy to help answer those questions if I can. If I don't know them, I'll find out, and I'll post a reply to that, just to help make life easier for everybody. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've got for you today. Like I say, thanks again for watching. Make sure you find a reason to smile today, and I'll catch you in the next one.